Good morning. Happy Veterans Day. Today is November 11th. I believe it's the 11th. And it is on this Tuesday. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller broadcasting to you from the 13 News Now studios here in Norfolk, Virginia, serving Southeast Virginia, Northeast North Carolina. You found us here on the weather desk where we tackle today's top weather headlines. And I want to run through these headlines with you right now, what we're going to be tackling on the show today. How about this Arctic blast that has brought snow and cold to a good portion of the eastern U.S. It has been some kind of morning. We saw our first snow of the season here in Hampton Roads, and we have gone through extensive snow droughts, years where we didn't see any snow. We had a little bit early this morning. We'll show you a little bit of that coming up. And then again, heavier snow for other parts of the country. As we take a look, we'll have the latest impacts from Feng Wang, some more video to show you from overseas. Of course, Feng Wang struck the Philippines and is now headed towards the southern tip of Taiwan. So we've got some more video and information to show you from that system. And we have some good news for victims of Melissa. There is more aid headed their way. We'll have the latest on those recovery efforts. In addition, we have an update. Camp Mystic now being sued by some family members of some of the victims that are lost in the terrible floodings in Texas. That was such a big story. We continue to follow developments around that. And kind of a cool thing here, a volcano. Volcano, okay. Well, the NATO, tornado, you're thinking vol, well, it's got to be around a volcano. Well, pretty much what you're looking at. We'll explain video of a volcano caught there in Hawaii. So some fun things to discuss. Of course, we'll talk about how long this bitter cold air is going to be over parts of the country as well. Let's start off by talking about the snow this morning. And right now, we are in such better shape. The skies have cleared out. I was out in the Weather Impact Interceptor early this morning, and we had what was initially some light snow, but there were actually some snow showers and even some minor accumulations. We saw frigid temperatures across Hampton Roads. We got our first flurries of the season. You see them showing up on the radar. This is what it looked like early this morning. You can see just a few flurries there from our Weather Impact Interceptor. And I got a chance to get out and drive around in that Weather Impact Interceptor during the morning shows. Now, the flurries did not last long, but they were out there. Some of the snow settled on a car, and I went ahead and put our 13 News logo into the dashboard there. Of course, it started to melt a little bit. That's why you're seeing that snow sliding, but it was out there, and that snow was easy to kind of pack and make a snowball out of. So again, it was a light snow, but we did get some of that sticking to some of the elevated surfaces. Now, before we went out in the Interceptor, we did see those flurries that were showing up on some of our sky views. This one from the Jordan Bridge, you can see some of the flurries dancing there. Again, the ground generally not warm enough to make it stick or to allow it, too warm to allow it to stick. It was melting on contact largely, but those elevated surfaces did have some snow sticking. And I've got some proof right here. Let's take a look at this. No, we don't want to go to Buffalo, New York yet. I want to bring you back to Max 1 to show you this picture that was sent to us from Red Mill this morning. This is those elevated surfaces. You talk about decks, and you see the handrails on the decks. You've got the kind of hood over your grill there, your tarp covering that. This was sent to us by Sarah Calloway from the Red Mill section earlier this morning. So not a tremendous amount of snow, but a little coating there. Even the grass and some of the mulched areas had a little bit of snow sticking on it as they came through sunrise. So really appreciate Sarah sending that in. Now, the snow is heavier, and it continues to come down for other parts of the country. Now I want to take that live look from Buffalo, New York, and you can see, again, the snow continues. We've got time lapse from about 5:30 this morning showing some heavy snow accumulating in Central Square, New York. So there you go. Sorry? Oh, this is Central Square. Okay. I just got some clarification. That is from around the Syracuse area. That's Central Square, New York. So you can see, again, that's time lapse. The winds weren't blowing quite that much, but you can see the blowing snow. Now check out this snowman cam from Gaylord, Michigan, courtesy of EarthCam. You can see they've got some snow. The birds don't seem to mind too much. I think as long as they can find some bird seed out there, they're pretty happy. Temperatures there are going to stay pretty close to 30 degrees. Now, this is one of those rare days where even Floridians might need to break out their winter coat. That is, if they own them. An Arctic blast continues its record-setting trek across the eastern U.S., and Amy Kiley reports. It's impacting areas from New York to the Sunshine State.
An Arctic blast could bring inches of snow and potentially record-setting cold to parts of the eastern U.S. today. Even Florida could reach historic lows before the polar plunge is done, according to meteorologists.
It's too cold. It's too early. It's not even Thanksgiving yet. It needs to heat back up soon because we're freezing.
Forecasters predict snow near Lake Erie today. Some Midwesterners are still digging out after double-digit accumulations in certain areas yesterday. This Wisconsin man says he marks the first snowfall each year by making snow angels in his swim trunks.
My stepfather came into my life. As a dare, he made me do it, and I've been doing it ever since.
For others, the weather means work rather than play.
I woke up in my normal time thinking we were just going to get the cold air, but this is totally different. This is actually get dressed and actually be outside in the cold.
My wife's over there helping Leslie, and I'm trying to get this running, and I'm going to go across the street and help them. She's at work.
The storm is hitting at the same time as air traffic controller shortages across the country. Chicago's O'Hare Airport reports average delays of more than 5 hours yesterday.
I'm exhausted. I am tired. I am mad. I just want to sleep.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
All right, so this has been a big story for so much of the country. You can see there's still snow coming off some of the Great Lakes. Buffalo, Rochester seeing some snow. We're getting a break now across Hampton Roads. High pressure is going to take over, but with the clearing skies, those temperatures really dropped. And right now, we're still looking at temperatures in the 30s. That's for the airport. Inland areas are more like lower 30s and low to mid 30s. And as I was out in the Weather Impact Interceptor this morning, we were taking road temperature measurements as we were going along. We were generally around 34 degrees or so, and that was with some of the friction from the tires. So we were slightly above freezing. Thank goodness we didn't have a lot of ice out there. But that precipitation did come, and as we've been showing you, a little bit sticking on some of those elevated surfaces this morning. It's kind of fun to actually see it. Skies have cleared out now as we take a look at temperatures across the country. Look at how chilly it is. New Orleans, 45, 41 in Orlando. We talked yesterday about iguanas getting cold stunned. When temperatures get down around 50 degrees, it can really slow down their activity. They can lose their grip and fall from trees. So even parts of central and southern Florida, you may be seeing a little bit of that this morning. Atlanta, normally hot Atlanta, not this morning. 34 degrees, 30 in Louisville, 30 in Chicago, 30 in Cleveland. Just some really chilly air across much of the eastern U.S. Here's a look at our lows this morning. We were down in the low 30s, so we did have those freeze warnings up for the area. We are no longer under our weather impact alert. We had that in place through early this morning, but now that we are getting past 9 o'clock, we're going to take that down. So don't worry too much more about that. The winds have been gusty. Recently, we had a gust of 31 in Newport News, 35 up at Tangier Island, Melfa at 33, 28 in Chesapeake, and 33 down in Manio. I was out looking at the intercoastal waterway right there at the Great Bridge and the Great Bridge locks, and the wind was really coming down along the water there. So even narrow channels without trees or buildings to block, you do get some of these higher gusts. Oceana just had a gust of 31. Highest gust I've seen so far, Duck Pier with a gust to 40 miles per hour. So it's chilly. You're talking wind chills in the teens early this morning and low to mid 20s as we go through this hour. We're going to see even by noon wind chills in the mid 30s. So definitely bundle up as you are out and about. All right, we're going to move on with some other stories because we do have a lot to talk about. We have Typhoon Feng Wang, and if you recall, again, it moved across the northern part of the Philippines. It is turned to the north. It's now a weakened system, a tropical storm, but it has done a number on the Philippines. It triggered floods and landslides and cut power to entire provinces in the Philippines, killed at least 4 people, including 2 children, before passing the Philippines yesterday. This video shows just how strong the winds were from the storm. Look at this suspension bridge. It's being tossed around. It almost looks like a flag on a flagpole. So very, very powerful winds with that typhoon. And this video from Taiwan, who's now preparing again, it's going to be kind of grazier, the southern tip of Taiwan. This system is no longer a typhoon, but a tropical storm. It's still going to bring heavy rain and strong winds, and they are bracing for that in Taiwan as it moves closer to the island. The storm's approach prompted school and office closures in several cities, and the storm is expected to, again, graze Taiwan. We're going to get into the forecast track with this as we go along. Let's take a look right here. Again, you can see the latest. This was a 7 a.m. update on Fenghuang. Maximum wind 60, so it is not nearly as strong as it was moving across the Philippines as a typhoon. And then again, by early Wednesday morning, down to 50 mile per hour, those maximum winds. But still, parts of Taiwan will deal with some very heavy rain and some gusty winds. After that, it'll move off to the northeast and weaken. So that is the very latest on Tropical Storm Fenghuang. All right, we're going to bring you back here again, talk some more about what's happening across our tropics and the tropical Atlantic basin. And we're going to start off by looking back down to Jamaica. And right now, things are quiet. They do have some cloud cover here, but folks here are continuing in their attempts to recover from that incredible hurricane, Melissa, again, making landfall as the strongest Atlantic hurricane at landfall in history. It tied the 1935 Labor Day storm that hit the Florida Keys. So that was a devastating blow. We talked a lot about that. And the United States is now providing nearly $12.6 million in additional emergency assistance to Jamaica and Haiti following Hurricane Melissa. The State Department says the majority of the funding, more than $10 million, will go to Jamaica to help with clearing debris, providing shelter and emergency health care. $2.5 million will go to Haiti to provide support similar. The U.S. announced the initial portion of the $24 million in emergency assistance last week for Jamaica, Haiti, the Bahamas, and Cuba. Let's talk about what else is going on in the tropics. And honestly, while we have some clusters of showers and storms, these are not getting organized in a tropical sense right now. That's great news. Look at how quiet the Gulf is. Everything good right there. As we take a look over in the eastern Pacific, we've got some clusters of showers or storms, but the Hurricane Center is not anticipating any trouble there. East Coast looking good. We've got more cold air swinging off the coast, so there's no way anything's getting to us right now or anytime soon as we get that colder push of air across the region. Honestly, the rest of the Atlantic basin looking quiet at this point. The Hurricane Center does not anticipate any tropical activity over the next 7 days. All right, we're turning our attention back to Texas and specifically out to the west of Austin. You take a look here around Kerrville. Camp Mystic is facing a string of lawsuits filed by several families who lost their daughters in the catastrophic flooding that swamped the Texas Hill Country last summer. The families claim the girls died because the camp put profit over safety. Here's ABC's Victor Akendo.
This morning, the families of children and counselors who died in the historic July 4th flooding at Camp Mystic in Texas are suing the camp and its owners for negligence. 25 young girls and 2 teen counselors were killed when the Guadalupe River rose more than 20 feet in less than 2 hours. Now the families of 5 of the girls and 2 of the counselors insist the tragedy was avoidable.
Camp is supposed to be a safe place.
In one of 3 lawsuits filed yesterday, the families say the girls died because a for-profit camp put profit over safety. The lawsuit accuses Camp Mystic of housing the girls in flood-prone cabins to avoid the cost of relocating them and of failing to create or practice an evacuation plan. It claims that even after a flash flood warning, the staff spent time moving equipment instead of children.
Seal's life ended not because of an unavoidable act of nature, but because of preventable failures.
A lawyer for the camp said keeping the girls in their cabins was the right thing to do.
Do not take 9-year-old girls who weigh 63 pounds on average into raging floodwaters. They're going to get washed away.
In a new statement, a camp lawyer calls the flood unprecedented, saying no adequate warning systems existed. The camp saying it empathizes with the families, but disagrees with several accusations. Each lawsuit is seeking more than $1 million in damages. State lawmakers have already passed new rules on camp safety, including emergency planning. Victor Okendo, ABC News, New York.
We're going to take a short break, just 2 minutes, but when we come back, a volcano in Hawaii, we're going to talk about a volcano. Think about that, a tornado near a volcano. We'll sort that out. And we're going to talk about where it was spotted. And I'll let you know just how long all this cold air here around the mid-Atlantic region is going to last. Stick with us right after the break. Welcome back to the Weather Desk. I hope you're having a good Veterans Day so far. And we thank you for finding us here on 13 News Now Plus. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, we love to have our viewers find us. Tell your friends about us. Let them know we do this every weekday morning around 9 a.m. We start. It's a half an hour of weather information we share with you each and every day. All right, we talked about things in the Atlantic Basin. We've talked about the cold blast here. Now we get to have a little bit of fun. We're going to head over to Hawaii, and when we check out our 50th state specifically, we want to zoom into the Big Island, and we're going to focus on Kilauea. So as we take a look here around the volcano, I want you to check this out. A volcano was spotted near Hawaii's Kilauea, the volcanic eruption. Now take a look at this video. It's showing lava shooting out over 1,000 feet into the air. This happened on Sunday. All right, so that volcanic eruption, that's impressive. But what's really cool was that volcano, or a tornado-like swirl of dust and ash that's caused by the contrast between all of the heated air, that hot air and lava, and the cooler ambient air around it. Now, according to the geological experts, this is not tremendously uncommon. We do find this happening when this fine volcanic particulates, this little bits of dust, ash, lava, whatever, gets kicked up into the atmosphere. And it's, again, very unstable, very buoyant hot air. That hot air rises. You know that. You see hot air balloons. You understand hot air rises, and it continues to rise from the intense heat of the volcano. the particles in the air start to spin faster and faster with little winds kind of circulating around, and they pull more air into the circulation near the base, creating the volcano. So now you know. Really, really wild to check that out. Hope you enjoyed that. All right, we're going to turn our attention to something I don't know if folks are enjoying or not. I guess some folks are. You know, there's some heavy snow up in Wisconsin. We don't have the video for you in this show, but there's a guy, I think, in Wisconsin that always takes his shirt off and does snow angels in the snow, every first snow or whatever. Some folks really into the snow. For us, we don't have that much to work with, but we did get our snow flurries around here, as I mentioned. We'll zoom in, take a look at some of the areas still seeing some snow in a moment. High pressure is going to dominate now for the upcoming week. We had the front come through, the colder air is in place. We had a quick moving little area of low pressure. That little disturbance is what triggered our snow showers and light precip overnight. As high pressure builds in, we will enjoy a lot of sunshine. It's coming up over the coming days. As we zoom in to this part of the country, you can see a cold wind blowing down across the Great Lakes. We've got some snow back across Indiana, and you can see approaching Indianapolis, western parts of Indianapolis seeing some snow. So travel along some of those interstates, including 74 and perhaps I-70. They're impacted by a little bit of that snow. We'll continue to watch that. Again, that is around the Indianapolis area. As we look over across Pennsylvania, you can see just off to the north of Pittsburgh, some snow showers there. Snow through Punxsutawney. Groundhog, I don't know if I guess he's probably not sleeping right now, but the groundhog's dealing with a little bit of snow there. Williamsport seeing some snow, same thing in Scranton. They've been getting it. Binghamton, as you go farther north up into New York, you've got some snow there. Syracuse seeing it. Watertown, Rochester, Buffalo earlier, as we mentioned, we showed you getting it as well. So a lot of snow up for the Northeast U.S. As we look at the forecast for Veterans Day for the Southeast U.S., plenty of sunshine. It will be chilly. Temperatures around 46 at Raleigh, 49 in Atlanta, 61 in New Orleans. Orlando, 58 for a high. Chilly in Florida. Cleveland's got some snow. New York City could see some snow. Boston, chilly at 39. Temperatures very comfortable around Dallas and Houston, low 70s to mid 70s. You know, it's beautiful down there across Texas. Oklahoma, breezy today. Little Rock looking pretty good. St. Louis at 56. Chilly in Chicago. Sweet home Chicago. 41, 50 in Minneapolis. And as we look out to the west, temperatures there in the upper 60s. San Francisco to L.A. 79 in Vegas. 87 in Phoenix. Hotter there. 63. Beautiful in Salt Lake City. Billings looking good. And Seattle 54. Looking good there. That's a look at Veterans Day across the country. For Hampton Roads, we've got a chilly one. Skies now have cleared, and we are going to see the sunshine through the afternoon. Highs only in the mid to upper 40s. And as we go along, it's a little windy out there. Winds gusting up 25 miles per hour for most of the metro area, but right along the coast, right along the Chesapeake Bay, right along those areas, we're seeing some gusts up closer to 30 miles per hour. So it is pretty breezy across our area. And you can see how the winds are blowing as you look offshore at some of these satellite cloud images here. You can see there are little streaks where the winds are blowing in from the west-northwest. And it's interesting because it is such a cold wind. This is essentially almost like a lake effect, or what we would call a bay effect. A lot of times you'll see streamers come out. In this case, it's the cold air blowing across the relatively warm ocean water, especially once you get out over the Gulf Stream where you start to pick up a little bit more of that warmth offshore. Right along the coast, the water is colder. That's why you're not seeing too much right along the shores. Thought you might get a kick out of seeing that. The winds are coming in from this direction, and they're going to be with us today, so a breezy day today. I want to get into the futurecast and talk to you about what's coming up. Sunshine, basically. Temperatures staying in the 30s this morning, but warming into the low 40s as we go past noon, and then afternoon highs mid to upper 40s. That's it. Overnight tonight, another chilly one. Temperatures down into the 30s, mid 30s for many. We might see a couple passing clouds, but it's going to be clear early and clear by sunrise. So we're looking at a lot more sunshine for your Wednesday. Temperatures warmer, though, because instead of coming in from the northwest, we get a little bit of a southwest component to our wind. So temperatures not getting up to normal just yet, but a little warmer tomorrow and then staying that way through the next several days. Here's a live look as we check out the skies over Town Point Park from Nauticus. The Thompson Creek Window Company sky view showing you the sunshine. You can see it's breezy. The sailboats are rocking a little bit right there alongside the Half Moon Cruise Terminal. Back over towards the shipyard, things are looking okay. A lot of sunshine, but it is chilly. You know, those guys working out on the docks and along the piers, they are bundled up. Take a look at those guys. Seems like most of them have full beards, and I get it, just trying to keep your face warm. Temperatures near 37 degrees. That's at the airport. Winds right now 14 miles per hour, but there have been higher gusts, and those high gusts are going to be an issue out on the water. For the Chesapeake Bay and for our coastal waters, we do have gale warnings that are going to be in place through the late morning and into the afternoon. So those gusts closer to 35 knots out there on the water. Highs today are going to reach the mid to upper 40s. As I mentioned, it is windy in Virginia Beach. Many areas quite breezy, and those temperatures just not warming up much at all today. Looking up to the eastern shore, the peninsula, the middle peninsula, northern neck, here again, temperatures in the upper 40s. And looking down across northeast North Carolina, more of the same, upper 40s, more like mid 40s with sunshine right along the Outer Banks. Overnight tonight, lows near 35, another chilly night. We will see clear skies. There might be a period with some passing high thin clouds, but that's it. It's going to be a nice overnight, just a chilly one and still a little breezy with winds gusting to near 20. For tomorrow, 60 the high, will take it. A nice little warm up there as we look ahead over the next 7 days. The temperatures will be staying close to 60 on Thursday and Friday into Saturday. By Sunday and Monday of next week, we're back up into the mid 60s. So there you go. We were very chilly this morning with the freeze warning and the weather impact alert. We'll stay cool through the afternoon, but warmer for the next 4 days, and then temperatures back to or a little bit above average Sunday into Monday. Want to remind you, you can always take our forecast with you on the go when you download the 13 News Now mobile app. You can scan that QR code right there on the screen. Get the app. You'll have access to our radars, to our forecast traffic updates, and any special breaking news that's going on. You'll find out about it when you have the 13 News Now mobile app. Thank you so much for joining us today from the Weather Desk. A chilly day across much of the eastern U.S. We're into November. I know we start to see more and more of this now, but this was a pretty freakish cold blast across much of the country. I hope you enjoyed the show this morning. Let your friends know about us here on the Weather Desk. We'll see you next time.